It's easy to believe that life, especially a life you've meticulously built, will unfold like a perfectly orchestrated symphony. Every note in its place, every crescendo and diminuendo perfectly timed. But what if, suddenly, a single, jarring note threatened to unravel everything, forcing you to improvise a melody with someone you never expected? This is the story of Eleanor Vance and Leo Maxwell, a story that proves sometimes the most harmonious tunes are found in the most unexpected discords. Eleanor Vance was the undisputed queen of Metropolitan Elite magazine. Her office, perched high above the bustling streets of New York City, was a fortress of glass and steel, mirroring her own meticulously crafted image. Every decision, every editorial, every perfectly tailored power suit was a testament to her precision, control, and unwavering ambition. For years, her life had been a meticulously planned ascent, a testament to what sheer will and relentless work could achieve. She was at the peak of her career, admired, and perhaps a little feared by her peers, and entirely self-made. But then, the jarring note. A seemingly innocuous expiration date on a document she dismissed as a minor detail. A work visa forgotten amidst the whirlwind of deadlines and launches. The call from immigration was polite, yet chillingly firm. Her visa had lapsed, and without immediate, drastic action, she faced deportation. Back to a life she'd painstakingly left behind, a life devoid of the glittering ambition she now breathed. The very foundation of her American dream, built brick by painful brick, was crumbling. Desperate, Eleanor did something entirely out of character. She called in Leo Maxwell, her quiet, unfailingly efficient assistant. For 3 years, Leo had been the silent architect behind her demanding schedule, anticipating her needs before she even voiced them. He was a shadow, a presence Eleanor rarely truly saw, let alone considered for anything beyond fetching her bespoke coffee. "Leo," she began, her voice devoid of its usual clipped authority, "I have a proposition, a rather unconventional one." Leo, poised with his notepad, blinked slowly. He'd seen Eleanor stressed, demanding, even furious. He'd never seen her vulnerable. He simply waited. "My visa," she continued, her voice barely a whisper, "it's expired. I am facing deportation, and the only immediate solution is marriage." She paused, took a shallow breath, then dropped the bombshell. "To you." The air in the office crackled with the audacity of the request. Eleanor's world, once a fortress of certainty, had crumbled under the weight of an impending crisis. The fear of losing everything she'd worked for was palpable, replaced by a desperate, almost clinical pragmatism. For Leo, the request was a jarring intrusion into his quiet, organized life, sparking a mix of bewilderment and a reluctant sense of duty towards his demanding boss. The initial emotion was one of uncomfortable necessity, far from any romantic ideal. What would you do if your entire future hinged on an unexpected decision? But as they embarked on this unconventional path, the complexities of their fabricated future began to reveal layers neither had anticipated. The interview with the immigration officer was precisely as Eleanor had feared, cold, probing, and deeply suspicious. The officer's stern warnings about the severe consequences of a fraudulent marriage, fines, imprisonment, permanent bars from reentry, hung heavy in the air. This wasn't just a loophole. It was a tightrope walk with potentially catastrophic falls. Eleanor, usually so articulate, found herself fumbling for words, her polished composure cracking under the pressure. It was Leo, surprisingly, who stepped into the breach. His voice, usually soft and deferential, gained an unexpected steadiness. He began to spin a romantic tale of their supposed courtship, a narrative so saccharine and detailed it almost felt real. He spoke of shared late nights at the office, of a mutual respect blossoming into admiration, of stolen glances over spreadsheets, and an undeniable intellectual connection that had deepened into affection. He painted a picture of stolen glances and blossoming affection, a story so well rehearsed it was almost believable. Eleanor watched him, wide-eyed, a flicker of something akin to awe mixed with disbelief. He wasn't just an assistant. He was a surprisingly good actor. The officer, still skeptical, pushed back. "Well, if your connection is so profound," he stated, leaning forward, "you won't mind a little trip down memory lane, will you? We require a public engagement announcement in Mr. Maxwell's hometown, and then separate, in-depth interviews. We want to see how well you really know each other." Eleanor's jaw tightened. A public announcement? In a small town? She was the quintessential city dweller, a creature of concrete and couture. The thought of stepping into a quaint, rustic town, a place completely alien to her sophisticated urban existence, filled her with dread. Yet, she nodded, a forced smile plastered on her face. Reluctantly, Eleanor found herself packing for Maple Creek, Vermont, a place she only knew from picture postcards and holiday specials. Eleanor, usually cloaked in designer suits and city confidence, felt out of place, even contemplating the casual comfort of Leo's supposed world. Her anxiety was masked by an almost defiant professionalism. She viewed this trip as another business transaction, a hurdle to overcome, even as the charming simplicity of Maple Creek began to chip away at her defenses. Leo, on the other hand, grappled with the awkwardness of presenting a fake relationship to his genuine, close-knit family, feeling a quiet pressure to protect Eleanor while maintaining his own integrity. This was a man who, until now, had been content existing in Eleanor's shadow. Now, he was subtly taking charge, guiding her through the unfamiliar territory of his family and their expectations. The journey itself became a metaphor for their forced intimacy, navigating unknown roads together. There was a subtle, almost imperceptible shift in their dynamic. Less boss-assistant, more reluctant co-conspirators. Have you ever had to step completely out of your comfort zone for something truly important? Little did Eleanor know, this seemingly innocent trip to a sleepy Vermont town would not only challenge her perceptions of love, but also shatter her understanding of Leo's entire identity. As they pulled into Maple Creek, the true extent of Leo's roots and the surprising depth of his world began to unfold before Eleanor's very eyes. The moment they arrived in Maple Creek, Eleanor's meticulously ordered world was thrown into delightful disarray. The town wasn't just quaint, it was a living, breathing tapestry of community, tradition, and industry. And at the heart of it all, she quickly discovered were the Maxwells. "That's the Maxwell lumber mill," Leo pointed out casually, gesturing toward the vast complex buzzing with activity. Been in the family for generations. A few blocks later, they passed a charming bakery, its windows piled high with artisanal breads. "And that's Aunt Carol's bakery. She uses Pop-Pop's grain." Eleanor's jaw slackened. Her initial image of Leo's small-town family quickly evaporated. They weren't just humble folk. They were the unacknowledged magnates of the region, their roots deeply woven into the very fabric of Maple Creek. Every other building seemed to bear the Maxwell name. Every local they passed offered a warm wave and a familiar greeting to Leo. Her shock escalated when Leo turned their rental car down a long, winding driveway. "And this," he announced with a soft smile, "is the Maxwell residence." Eleanor braced herself for a cozy farmhouse. What she saw instead took her breath away. It wasn't a modest house, but a majestic, historic estate. A sprawling mansion, ivy-clad and stately, surrounded by acres of manicured lawns, ancient trees, and rolling hills. It was something out of a classic novel, a place of inherited wealth and generations of history. It slowly, stunningly, dawned on Eleanor. Leo Maxwell, her quiet, often ignored assistant, was in fact a wealthy heir. He lived a life of understated privilege that stood in stark contrast to her own self-made journey. She, the queen of the concrete jungle, suddenly felt like a fish out of water, navigating cobblestone paths and sprawling gardens, utterly out of her element. Her typical assertiveness was replaced by a stunned silence as she processed the sheer scale of Leo's family wealth and influence. She had spent years believing she was the one with all the power, all the leverage. Now, she realized the quiet man by her side held a different kind of power entirely. Leo, in his element, moved with an easy confidence, greeting family members and townspeople with genuine warmth. He subtly observed Eleanor's reactions, a quiet amusement playing on his lips. He wasn't just the assistant. He was the scion of Maple Creek, embodying a comfort and grace she'd never seen. Eleanor experienced a profound sense of disorientation and, surprisingly, a touch of humiliation. Her carefully constructed image of Leo as her subservient assistant shattered, replaced by a complex mix of surprise, awe, and perhaps a flicker of indignation at having been so wrong. Leo, for his part, felt a quiet satisfaction in revealing this hidden aspect of himself, allowing Eleanor to see him in a new light, free from the power dynamics of their New York office. This revelation created a new emotional landscape between them, one built on a surprising, shared vulnerability. When was the last time someone completely surprised you with who they truly were? As days turned into evenings in the Maxwell estate, something unexpected began to bloom between them, far removed from the pretense of their original arrangement. Life at the Maxwell estate unfolded at a pace Eleanor wasn't accustomed to. Dinners were boisterous affairs, filled with laughter and stories. Mornings were spent on long walks, exploring the grounds, or helping Aunt Carol bake fresh pies for the local market. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, Eleanor began to shed her rigid professional facade. The crisp suits were replaced by comfortable sweaters. Her clipped tones softened into genuine curiosity. She found herself participating, listening, and even laughing. One intimate evening, gathered by the roaring fireplace, the conversation turned to family histories. Eleanor, typically guarded, found herself sharing a vulnerability she rarely, if ever, revealed. "I lost my parents when I was 16, she confessed, her voice barely a whisper. "It was sudden. Everything I had, everything I knew gone. That's why I came to New York. To build something no one could take away." The raw honesty of her admission hung in the air, creating a powerful bridge between her and Leo. He listened, not with pity, but with a quiet understanding that deepened his respect for her resilience. As they spent more time together, navigating the mock engagement, the lines between their fabricated relationship and a genuine connection blurred. They talked for hours, not about magazine layouts or business strategies, but about dreams, fears, and the quiet moments that shaped them. Eleanor saw Leo not just as her assistant, but as a man of quiet strength, deep integrity, and surprising wit. He, in turn, saw past the formidable editor to the complex, sensitive woman beneath. A turning point arrived during a quiet moment in the sprawling garden, under the soft twilight sky. They were practicing their engagement poses for the upcoming public announcement, a charade that felt increasingly absurd. Their eyes met, and what began as a strategic kiss to maintain their charade transformed into something else entirely. It was hesitant at first, then deepened, filled with an undeniable, reciprocal affection. It was the first time Eleanor experienced a kiss that truly stirred her heart, sending a warmth through her she hadn't felt in years. For Leo, it solidified a growing, undeniable love for the woman behind the editor, a realization that had been building quietly within him. Eleanor experienced a profound sense of liberation and warmth she hadn't felt in years. The emotional wall she built around herself, brick by brick after her parents' death, began to crumble, allowing a cautious sense of trust and affection to grow. Leo, witnessing this transformation, felt a surge of hope and tenderness, seeing past the formidable editor to the complex, sensitive woman beneath. The kiss wasn't just a physical act. It was a profound emotional declaration, a silent acknowledgement that their feelings were real, complicated, and deeply felt. Have you ever found true connection in the most unexpected places? We've seen Eleanor transform from a guarded professional to someone beginning to open her heart. What will happen when the reality of their engagement demands a public declaration? But as their feelings deepened, the grand plans for their wedding loomed large, threatening to expose the very truth that brought them together. The Maxwell family, overjoyed by the supposed engagement, meticulously planned a lavish wedding. They spared no expense, believing wholeheartedly in the union of their beloved Leo and his fiancée. As the big day arrived, the air was thick with excitement, the scent of fresh flowers and the joyful murmur of guests. The pressure on Eleanor was immense, a crushing weight of expectation and genuine affection she had unwittingly cultivated. Standing at the altar, looking out at the beaming faces of Leo's family, at Leo himself, his eyes reflecting a tenderness she now recognized as true love, Eleanor was struck by a profound realization. She couldn't do it. She could not perpetuate this lie, especially not to people who had shown her such genuine kindness, who had welcomed her into their fold with open arms. And least of all, to Leo, whom she had unexpectedly come to love, truly and deeply. In a moment of raw courage, Eleanor's voice, though trembling, resonated through the hushed church. I can't do this," she began, her gaze fixed on Leo, then sweeping to his family. "This marriage, it's a lie. It was a fabrication, a desperate attempt to keep my visa." She took a deep breath, her eyes welling up, but her voice firm. "I take full responsibility for this deception. Leo, he only agreed to help me. He is innocent." The confession sent shockwaves through the ceremony. Whispers erupted, quickly followed by stunned silence. Leo's beloved grandfather, a man of formidable presence, clutched his chest dramatically and collapsed, causing a flurry of panicked activity. A staged feint, as it turned out, a brilliant Maxwell maneuver designed to allow them to escape the immediate fallout and head for the airport. Eleanor, heartbroken but resolute, was quickly ushered away, boarding a plane back to New York, prepared to face deportation and the harsh consequences of her honesty. It was a lonely flight, filled with regret and a strange sense of liberation. She arrived back at her empty New York apartment, the city lights no longer a beacon of ambition, but a harsh reminder of what she was losing. She felt the heavy weight of her decision, the raw ache of a love she had just walked away from. But her story, thankfully, didn't end there. Leo, fueled by a love no longer bound by convenience or duty, raced after her. He found her, not at her apartment, but back in the quiet solitude of her office, amidst the very papers that had symbolized her ambition. He didn't come to scold or to mourn the lost opportunity of a green card. He came as a man who had found his true partner. "Eleanor," he said, his voice husky with emotion, "I don't care about the visa. I don't care about the magazine. I care about you." He knelt, not out of subservience, but out of heartfelt devotion. "Eleanor Vance, I love you. Will you marry me? For real this time?" The proposal wasn't about a green card anymore. It was about a genuine future built on truth, vulnerability, and a love that blossomed in the most unexpected circumstances. Eleanor, tears streaming down her face, finally said yes. What's one brave choice you've made that changed your life forever? If this story touched your heart and made you believe in the power of unexpected connections, you'll love our next video where we explore more real-life transformations that prove true love can find you anywhere. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories, and share your own unexpected love stories in the comments below. We're building a community of hope and connection, and we'd love for you to be a part of it.